Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I sat down and actually filmed a book video. I've been on my like short content, shorts type of vibe lately, but I had such a good reading month in the month of July, so I had to sit down and do a wrap up. I somehow managed to read 10 books in July, which is like crazy to me because there used to be a time where I couldn't even read like 3 books in a month just because I wasn't on my reading grind and I wasn't super into reading. But like the fact that I am reading such good books and getting through them makes my reader heart so happy, and I'm so excited for August too because I've just been on like an upward hill of reading this last month, if that makes any sense. But I figured I would sit down and film a July wrap up for you guys. Let's just get right into it. Okay, I have my Goodreads up so I can tell you guys my ratings and everything. So the first book I read this month was actually a novella, and it was Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This is the novella between Powerless and Reckless in the Powerless World trilogy. It's hard for me to kind of explain what this one has going on, but it follows Athena and her love interest Mac. Even though I knew how this book was going to end, it didn't make it hurt any less than it did. And that's all I'm gonna say. However, the writing that Lauren Roberts manages to put out there in the world is just something so beautiful. And it is just clear that she is a girl who has read multiple romantasy books in her life, and she basically curated this world for romantasy lovers like myself and whoever else is out there. And you can just tell that she actually reads the genre she writes. I give this one a 4-star. It wasn't a 5-star just because, again, it was only like, what, 100 and 200 pages. It was literally 200 pages. It's so short. And I'm not really a big novella girl, but again, her writing is just something that captures me. So 4 stars for this one. And with that being said, the next book I read was Reckless by Miss Lauren Roberts. Now, I'm just going to show you the tabs that I have. Like, I don't know if there's a single page that isn't tabbed. That's how many tabs I have in this book. And I was shocked at how many tabs because I actually read this on my Kindle and then I transferred my annotations after I got the book in the mail. Because if you're like me, last year whenever Powerless came out, I ordered the original UK version, which is the paperback, and then it got traditionally published in the US, and that was like a hardback Barnes & Noble special edition that I got. So of course I had to have them match. So whenever it was release day, I went to get my Barnes & Noble special edition of Reckless. However, I wasn't going to have the UK version annotated for the first book and then the US version annotated for the second book. So I had to order the UK one as well, and like the paperback, and so I read it on my Kindle, and then whenever I got the book in the mail, I annotated this one. I'm not shocked that this was a 5-star read. 5 stars through and through. I know a lot of people said that they were kind of disappointed because it felt like a filler book between the first and the third book in the trilogy, and that we didn't get much. I thought we got a lot of shit in this book because I feel like there were questions from the first book that didn't get answered in this book. And again, the Kai and Peyton banter is just top-notch banter, and again, I just feel like being back in this world is just so magical, and it was something I enjoyed so much. I loved it so much. I just think being back in this world gave it a 5 stars for me, period. But again, I feel like we got a lot. I really enjoyed it, and the cliffhanger, like, I don't even know what's gonna happen in the third book. Like, what is Miss Lauren Roberts gonna throw at us in the third book? It's called a Fearless, so we have Powerless, Reckless, and Fearless, and I'm kind of interested to see if we're gonna get a novella between the second and third like we did between the first and the second, so I'm excited to see that. The next book that I read was actually way out of my comfort zone. It is The Lovely War by Julie Berry, and I saw Destiny rated this 5 stars, and the way she described the premise of it, I immediately was like, I think that's something I'd enjoy. This is like a historical romance. It is 2 different stories that take place throughout World War I and World War II, but it's told by the gods. So it's told from the point of view of Aphrodite, who is the goddess of love, Ares, the god of war, and who is the other one? Apollo, who is the god of music. And they are telling it, oh, and Hades, which is the god of the underworld, the god of death. And they're telling it to Hephaestus. And again, it like mixes the gods with historical background, and the 2 stories, I just didn't know where they were gonna go, and the 2 love stories are interconnected, and it was so beautiful. The writing was something that I feel like will stick with me forever. I have so many quotes just annotated. I did end up rating this a 4-star just because there were some points where I was like, let's get on with it. I'm a little bored, you know what I mean? And if I feel that way, I just feel like I can't rate a book 5 stars. If even I feel that way in 2 chapters, I just feel like it can't be a 5-star. However, I want to read more of Julie Berry's books, so if you have any recommendations of her other books, I would love to hear them, because this is also young adult, so it was very easy to read. I was just kind of intimidated because it is a historical fiction, and I am not the biggest history buff. That was like my least favorite subject in school, in college, so. However, this one, premise of it is just something I've never thought of or heard before. Like, the gods are telling the story of these 2 couples that are interconnected, and it's just so beautiful. If you have not read this and you want to step out of your comfort zone, I 100% recommend this book. Okay, next. I am so late to the game with this series. I don't know why. I feel like whenever I just started to get back into reading, I felt like I just missed the cut for this. Like, I missed the rave and the hype around it, and so I was just like, I'm never gonna read those. But I was scrolling on Kindle Unlimited, okay? I had my handy dandy Kindle, and I was like, I need strictly treadmill books, because whenever I work out, I get so goddamn bored on the treadmill. I feel like I could be on there because it's not like I get super tired. I just get fucking bored. Like, it's boring. Working out is boring, and I don't care what you say about it. So I was like, I'm gonna bring my Kindle to the gym, and I'm going to start a like treadmill only series, so then it'll get me going and I won't get bored. So I started the Off Campus series by Elle Kennedy. The first one is The Deal, and it follows Garrett and Hannah. I understand the Garrett Graham hype now. I understand it. I don't know why I didn't jump headfirst into this before. I don't know if you guys were gatekeeping him for me, but oh my god. Okay, so if you don't know what the Off Campus series is about, it's Elle Kennedy's, I think, first series. I'm not sure, don't hold me to that, but it basically follows this group of friends, and they go to Breyer University. It's a school, college in Boston, and they're all hockey players. All the guys are hockey players, and it follows them and their love interests. So the first book follows Garrett and Hannah. 5 fucking stars. I had 3 5-star reads this month. You're lucky if I get 1 or any 5-star reads in a month. I had 3. Now, was this the most amazing piece of literature that I have ever read in my whole entire life? No, but for me, that's not what matters when I'm reading books. It's how much I thoroughly enjoyed the book, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I found no flaws in this book. It was a 5-star, period, point blank. It got to the point where these were no longer my treadmill books. I literally came home and I was like, I want to keep reading this. So I kept reading them, and this was the first one that I read this month, and it was a 5-star. Period. They're also such good just palate cleansers. Like, if you read like a heavy book or a fantasy book, I read through these books so freaking quick. Like, it is August, so this isn't included in my wrap up, but I am on the 4th book, and I literally started this yesterday, and I am already 45% in. They were just so quick. They're so easy to read. Also, if you are a major Swiftie like myself, my cardigan came in the other day, and I have not taken it off. I have wanted the Folklore cardigan for so long, and I hit myself for not getting it when it came out the first time. I finally got my hands on it, and it is just perfect for fall, and I love it. Anyway, the next book that I read was actually a book from one of my favorite authors. It is her first series. However, it is just now, I believe, getting traditionally published in the US, so it's available at Barnes & Noble. It is Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. So this is actually her series before the Chestnut Spring series. So she has the Gold Rush Ranch series, the Chestnut Spring series, and then now the Rose Hill series, which is, she has Wild Love, and then Wild Eyes comes out in a few months. I ended up rating this 3.5 stars, which again is not a bad rating. I just feel like it could have been a little bit shorter than what it was. However, an Elsie Silver book setting is never going to steer me wrong, ever. This summer, I don't know if it's because of the Elsie Silver books that I have been reading this summer or in the past, I have entered like my horse girl farm ranch era for my birthday. Instead of like going out and partying and stuff, I literally just told my friends, I was like, let's go horseback riding. So we went horseback riding, and it was so fun, so amazing. And this one actually follows like horse racing. This follows Vaughn and Billy, and it literally is all focused around their horse that they are training to go into the races. So the horse is like very shy and timid and doesn't trust a lot of people, but it is like a very expensive horse that genetically is like gonna be an amazing racehorse. So they were trying to like get him prepared for it, and they ended up, you know, falling in love like every single romance book. However, it was just a little boring at some points. Other points I was like, oh my god, I love this book. And then some points I'm like, I'm a little bored with this book. So it did get a 3.5. But Elsie Silver's writing is just something that I love so much. And I actually just got a photo finish which follows Violet Eaton, who is the sister of all the brothers in the Chestnut Spring series. So I'm very excited to go ahead and read her book next. Elsie Silver will literally never steer you wrong. And I also just saw Twisters with my dad yesterday. So like being in this country era, I am excited to start the next one. Okay, next one. One thing about me is I am a sucker for a fairy tale retelling. I am a sucker for a villain origin story. And so if it's a villain origin story from a fairy tale retelling standpoint, that was a jumble of words, I hope that makes sense, I'm going to be a sucker for it. So the next book I read was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And this has been on my TBR for a long time. I just haven't really been in like a fantasy mood. I ended up rating this one 4 stars. So this actually follows Catherine, who is the future Queen of Hearts, and she ends up falling in love with a jester, so kind of like a Joker guy who's like just not, he's not high up on the social hierarchy in this world, and her parents actually are having her married off to the king. So she's like, I can't not marry the king, like what am I gonna do? And it's basically just her figuring that out. And I now have so much sympathy for the Queen of Hearts, and I honestly see her completely different now. I feel for her. I understand why she hates everyone and everything, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. Also getting like the little hints of the characters you know and love from Alice in Wonderland. The Mad Hatter is in this one, and also the Cheshire Cat. I think that's how you say it. Cheshire? He's in it too, and he's really funny in it, so yeah. I highly recommend this one. I rated it a 4 star. Next, as another little palate cleanser after I read a fantasy book. You guessed it correctly, I read The Mistake, which is the second book in the Off-Campus series, and this follows Logan and Grace, and I rated this one a 4 star as well. I didn't like them as much as I liked Hannah and Garrett. Like, I don't know if anyone will ever compare it to Mr. Garrett Graham. Logan's a close second. I will tell you, Logan is a close second. Logan and Grace have like a one-night stand, and people usually don't tell Logan no, but Grace kind of just like doesn't want another chance. You know, she's like, I had my fun, that's it, we're done. He doesn't like that. He does not basically give up. So, and he actually ends up realizing, oh shit, I have feelings for this girl, and it's basically just Bridgerton level groveling. If you know, you know. This man is like on his hands and knees begging this girl for another chance, and there's nothing better than that, you know what I mean? So yeah, I rated this one 4 stars. Again, cute, fluffy hockey romances, love them. Next, I buddy read this with a few of my friends over on Bookstagram, and it was so fun. It was my first buddy read, and being able to talk about the characters and talk with people who enjoy reading as much as I do was very special and very fun, so shout out to them. But this is my final 5-star read of the month. Like I said, I had 3, and it was Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. If you don't know what this one is, it is a Netflix series. However, I didn't watch it because people do say that it's very different from the book, and I don't like when they do that. I do not fuck with that at all. This book is all about friendship and love and how important those friends are in your life. So this follows Tolly and Kate, and it's broken into 3 or 4 different parts. So part 1 is the 70s, part 2 is the 80s, part 3 is the 90s, and part 4 is the 2000s, a new millennium. So I don't really want to give anything away. If you do plan on reading this one, have your tissues ready, and that's really all I want to say. The amount of tabs that I tabbed in this one is also insane. So good. I do think, if we're talking about the characters, Tolly did piss me off a little bit in the book because she is a very selfish character, but it is because of the environment she was born into, so it's like you don't blame her for that. Kate was a sweetheart. I loved her. But yeah, have your tissues ready if you plan on reading this book. This is definitely a more of a literary fiction. There's a little bit of romance in it, but it's not the main focus at all. Their friendship is the main focus. It was really, really good. And then after that absolute dumpster fire of a mental breakdown that I had after I read that, I needed it again, a nice fluffy romance, and what better would that be than the 3rd book in the Off-Campus series. So I picked up The Score, and I ended up rating this one a 3.75. Out of the 3 that I have read so far, and I am on the 4th, I just think that these two might be my least favorite, but I still love them, you know what I mean? So this follows Dean and Allie, and Dean, he is a player. He sleeps with basically the whole college. He sleeps around, everyone knows it. He sleeps with Allie one night, and he's like, I can't get this girl out of my mind, basically. And she's like, I don't want Hannah, this is Hannah's roommate from the first book, I don't want her finding out, all this stuff. So she kind of tells him no, no, no. But then they finally do it again, and then they basically spark up a relationship. I just do feel like that this book was a very physical connection outside of emotional in the beginning, obviously, but it was very, very physical. So I just don't think I connected to them as much as the first two. However, it's not to say it's a bad book. I pictured Austin Butler when reading this book because he is blonde, if you can tell in the cover. 3.75, an amazing palette cleanser after Firefly Lane. And the last and final book I read in the month of July was The Unmaking of June Farrow. I've been trying to get into like my fantasy era again because fall is officially coming up. It's upon us. I am ready for summer to be over. I am a fall girl through and through. So I picked this one up. I ended up giving this one a 3.5. I was just a little bored at times, and I was kind of like, let's get this going. But if you don't know what this one is about, every single Farrow woman in this family down the line is cursed, and they are basically all cursed to go insane. Like, they at some point in their life will have a mental type breakdown and they will go insane, and it will basically cause them the end of their life. Like, they'll die being insane, basically. And June, it's basically her turn. Like, she's starting to see things and hear things that she shouldn't be hearing, and you figure out why and what's happening in this book. And I thought it was going to be a lot like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It was different because I feel like it was more of a mystery thriller with like a sprinkle of fantasy, and I thought it was gonna be like fantasy with a sprinkle of mystery and thriller, but the mystery in this book is definitely the main driving point. However, basically like it goes back and forth from 1950s to present day, so I thought that was really cool, like getting the town described from both sides of the coin, from what it looked like in the 50s and what it looks like present day. And basically, I don't want to go a lot away, but like she's able to see her grandma when she's younger, because she does go back and forth from the time. Does that make sense? Basically, she just is able to go back and forth from the 50s to present day, and you are figuring out what the curse is and what happened. And the ending did surprise me. I was not expecting the ending at all, but I did give it a 3.5 because it just wasn't my favorite. I feel like it could have been done differently in some ways. However, not to say it's a bad book. It was definitely a good book. But yeah, that is all 10 books I read in the month of July. Again, 3 5-star reads is absolutely insane. I did not think that that was gonna happen. I never think that that's gonna happen, but I am hoping for an even better month in the month of August. But yeah, that was my July wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do all of the YouTube stuff that you guys know how to do, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.